guys, so this is R for Trans Youth, yet again. Okay, so, yeah, this week's topic is, basically, how I would suggest to someone considering transition to, kind of a guideline, I suppose, for the next 10 years, if they, are gonna transition. Well, I mean, yeah, I think, just as many other trans people did, I figured I was different from the time I was very young. I didn't want to play with all the same toys that the little boys were playing with. I did, but, I played with the Hot Wheels and stuff, but I also played with the Barbies from time to time, and I much preferred doing that. And that is a common thing that trans people feel, is that they kind of knew from the time that they were a young child. So basically, I'm going to start off from when you're at the point where you've read up on transition and you're kind of, you're deciding if that is the way you want to go. Basically, I feel like a trans person really needs to feel that they need to do this, or it's just, not gonna work. I'm bad at wording things, aren't I? It's either the option of transition or living your entire life unhappy. You know what I mean? It's really, not literally, but it's figuratively, I suppose, a life and death situation. And there are the people who think about transition, but they almost think about it I don't know. Oh, what's the word I want to use? It's really not that important if they go one way or the other. They toy around with the idea, but they feel like they'd be happy living this way, or they'd be just as happy living that way. I feel that really isn't, I don't know, I wouldn't consider them to be as much of a trans person, because then maybe further down the line they'd be, wanting to transition back or whatever. I don't know. But first of all, yeah, you gotta make sure it's something you want to do. And that could take some time, both, researching transition, talking to trans people. A lot of people actually come to me for advice. It's kind of cool. Even people I have never met or spoken to in my entire life still come to me. They've heard about me through friends of friends or whatever. And it's pretty cool. I like being there to give people advice. It's awesome. Yeah, make sure it's what you want to do, first of all. And I guess I should say that, everybody's situation is everybody's own situation. It's all circumstantial. You could, go from, say, I don't know, say you're some rich bitch living in, LA or whatever. I don't know. You can probably go from beginning your transition to being fully done with your transition in as little as, 3 years. Approximately the time it would take for your hormones to take full effect. Because then you're not worried about any surgeries if you're planning on having surgeries, because I guess that's the other thing. A lot of trans people decide not to, but if you decide to go that route, you have the money to do it. you probably have no issues getting hormones because, I mean, especially living in a larger city like that. A lot of people who live in like a smaller town don't have the kind of doctors that know that kind of stuff. So they're kind of screwed there. Unless they have like a city near them that they can go to get the right kind of doctor. Yeah. So everything is circumstantial, right? And then it can take as little as like 3 years, but then it can probably take as long as, well, the rest of your life. Because there's the opposite end of the spectrum. People who are like poor and, I don't know, live in butt crack place, I don't know, some little tiny ass town in the middle of nowhere where everybody hates trans people. Yeah. So, because that person okay, say it takes them like 2 years to even get their hormone prescription. Okay, so they're on their HRT for like 3 years, so that's 5 years later. But how are you gonna... And yes, all my examples are gonna be getting surgery because, well, I went surgery. Yeah. How are you gonna get that surgery? Like, the way I'm doing it is I'm saving up my own money. And that's the way I suppose you would do it, but for some people that isn't as much of an option. Like I'm lucky enough that I don't have, well, I have other costs, but nowhere near as many as other people. Like, I pay my own cell phone bill, I pay for transportation into and out of the city, but, and food as well, but I'm living with my mom right now, so I don't have to pay rent or anything. And many other people who might be trying to save for their own transition might only be able to get like a minimum wage job and yet still have rent to pay, kids to feed, all this, etc. So how are they ever going to be able to afford that? It's crazy. Yeah. Wow, I've really gone off track. Where was I? Okay. Average trans person. Make sure it's what you want to do. Get on your hormones. That may take a while. It may take no time at all. It may take a while. Even me, living in Toronto, which I find to be a very LGBT-friendly place. One of the best cities in the world, if you ask me. Maybe the best city in the world. I love it in Toronto. Even me living there, it still took me... Let me do the math here. About half a year to get on hormones, because I had to go to like a group, and I was in that group for 3 months, and then at the end of that group I got my hormone prescription. So that always takes time. And then when you do that, it's approximately 3 years after starting your hormones that it takes for them to take full effect. And also, as a trans person, you need to be very... Say you're very... not very confident with yourself. I find transition kind of makes you get over that. Or maybe that's not the word I want to use. Self-conscious? They all mean the same thing. Like, if you're the kind of shy person who sits in the corner, well, you may still be that person, but I mean, it takes guts to kind of, go out and be who you want to be. And depending on how badly you want to be who you want to be, you just gotta get the guts. Simple as that. Yeah, so depending on how bad you want it, you gotta do it. So, like in my case, for example, I know it's probably not true, but I don't wear dresses or skirts or things like that very often. Not because I don't really want to. I mean, I wouldn't wear them every day or anything, but every now and then, why not? I don't wear things like that very often because I always feel like I look like manly in them. I don't know. And I've been on my HRT now for 2 years. I know that I pass and that people wouldn't know if I didn't tell them. But I still just feel self-conscious about myself wearing like a dress or something. So even I'm not fully over that myself yet. But you know, it all takes time. I have been transitioning I've been on hormones for 2 years, as I said, but from the process where I started telling people that I was going to transition, I was 17 then, and I'm 21 now. So that was 4 years ago. So let's say I'm 4 years into my 10 years. I think I'm doing alright. I'm not even halfway done yet. You know, by the time my 10 years is up, I'll be 27 years old at that point. You know, I'm planning on having my surgery, my SRS, by my 23rd birthday. So, you know. And that, well, you know, it won't necessarily be like a done transition period. Because when are you really done transition, I guess? I don't know. But like, 10 years is a long time. And you can get a lot done in 10 years. You can go from being, well, male to female, basically. Yeah. You can go from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum. Easily. Yeah. Okay, you know, I think this has probably been longer than 8 minutes now, and I don't know how to edit my videos. So I hope that helped. And if it didn't, yell at me. Or ask me a question. I'm good at answering questions. Obviously. Yeah, okay. So this is Zara for Trans Youth yet again. Comment, subscribe, you guys know the drill. And what else was I going to ask? If you have a question for all of us, transyouthchannel@gmail.com. And yeah, ask away.